We took a BuzzFeed quiz recently, and one of the questions was, where would you be found at a party? And my answer is, next to the warm dip. That wasn't one of the available answers, but that is my answer. This warm spinach artichoke dip is made creamy with white beans and cashews. It can be ready in 30 minutes, made thriftier than a more traditional cheesy dip, and I guarantee it will draw a crowd. Hello, I'm Catherine, and I am thrilled to announce that our recent poll had an overwhelming winner across our socials. This is the first time that we have had you choose between two similar recipes and let us know which one you want to see a video for. And out of my two warm spinach and artichoke dips, you chose the lighter version made predominantly with beans as opposed to my all cashew version. For those of you who chose the richer, more decadent all cashew version, don't despair, because I have linked that recipe down below in the description for you, and the process for making it is nearly identical. And I never really know how many of you gravitate to recipes that might be a little lower in oils, a little less sugar, and just generally a little more balanced. So I was pleasantly surprised to see how many of you were on board with having a bit less of the fatty, rich taste of the traditional cheesy spinach and artichoke dip, and open to a version that's a little different, a little lighter, but still delicious. So this version uses 1 cup white beans. These are cannellini or white kidney beans, but you can use navy beans, butter beans, Great Northerns, all of those will work. Then I keep half a cup of raw soaked cashews in this recipe. And in comparison, my all cashew version uses 1 1/4 cup of cashews. So I've been able to reduce it by quite a bit, but still leave a bit of that rich flavor and thick texture that the cashews provide. Then there is onion and garlic, and plant milk helps to smooth it all out. Nutritional yeast provides the cheesy, savory flavor. Then, of course, there is the spinach and the chopped artichoke hearts. And are you wondering why I'm using frozen spinach in this recipe? Frozen spinach is often priced less than fresh spinach, and I used to think that was because it wasn't as good or not as healthy, but I've learned that produce that is destined to be frozen is usually frozen at its peak ripeness. So sometimes it can actually hold on to more nutritional content than produce that has been picked and packaged and shipped and shelved and has sat in our fridges for a few days. So although I use fresh spinach in most of my day-to-day cooking, I do like to use frozen spinach in dips. And one reason is that there is way more spinach in a cup of frozen spinach than there is in a cup of fresh. And that's because frozen spinach has already been blanched, so it's already gone through that huge wilt and decrease in volume that happens when you cook spinach. 2 is the cost, which I've already touched on. And 3 is that it just looks prettier. If you take a look at our photos for our spinach artichoke dips, in the all cashew version, I used fresh spinach, and the leaves are bigger, there's not as much spinach, and it's not as well dispersed through the dip as it is in this version. So it just looks a little less appealing. But if you do want to use fresh spinach, then use about 2 cups of packed fresh spinach and give it a bit of a chop to just shorten those leaves. And now to make it. If you have an oven-proof skillet, then grab that and have your blender at the ready. The cashews and beans get blended down into a creamy sauce and then added to the spinach and the artichoke hearts in the skillet. This can be done in about 30 minutes. So here we go. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and quick soak half a cup of raw cashews by pouring boiling water over them in a heat-proof bowl. Set the cashews aside and heat an oven-proof skillet over medium-low with a touch of oil. Add half a small onion and 4 cloves of minced garlic and cook for 2 to 3 minutes until the garlic is fragrant and the onion translucent. Transfer half of the garlic and onion to a blender, and to the reserved half in the skillet, add 1 cup frozen spinach that has been thawed and drained if necessary, and 1 cup drained and chopped artichoke hearts. Season with salt and pepper and cook for another 3 to 4 minutes. Remove from the heat and keep warm. To the blender, add 1 cup white beans, 1 1/2 cup plant milk, 5 tablespoons nutritional yeast, half a teaspoon salt, a 1/4 teaspoon black pepper, and the cashews should have soaked for about 15 minutes by this point. So drain the soaking liquid and add the cashews to the blender. Blend until creamy and smooth. Pour the creamy sauce into the skillet with the spinach and artichoke hearts and stir to combine evenly. Transfer the oven-proof skillet to the heated oven and warm the dip through for 6 to 8 minutes. If you don't have an oven-proof skillet, then you can transfer the dip to a casserole dish and put it in the oven, or you can just keep heating it through on the stovetop until it's warm and then serve it. Serve your dip warm with veggies, crackers, tortilla chips, or a bread like pumpernickel and dig in. Pretty delicious, right? This vegan spinach artichoke dip is full of protein from the beans and the cashews. It's packed with fiber. It has tons of vitamins and minerals from the veg and the fortified nutritional yeast. And I don't focus too much on macronutrients, but this version has about half the amount of fat as my all cashew version. And I don't mean to demonize healthy fats at all, but I do like that this version is a little more balanced. And when I wrote this recipe about 2 years ago, my cost for this version was a little over $8 compared to a little over $11 for a more traditional cheesy version. And in those 2 years, my cost for each has risen a little bit, but I think that still demonstrates that you can likely save a few dollars on your ingredients for this vegan version. So if you have liked this video, then please hit that subscribe button and comment down below. Thank you to everyone who voted in the poll and encouraged us to remake this recipe because we are going to enjoy every scoop. We won't eat it all tonight. It's actually delicious cold as well if you're too lazy to reheat it, like me.